start tonight by saying hello to our guests. Please welcome Martin Freeman, Adelayo, Adedayo, and Elizabeth and Damian Hurley. Guys, I don't really know where to start because it's premieres galore, basically, with all of you. Martin, Adelayo, the red carpet was out in Liverpool, is that right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, the other night, yeah.
Absolutely wonderful there, very good.
Yes.
Oh, look.
No, yeah, we had a screening. We do look like friends. That was our greatest acting ever. Yeah, no, we had a screening of episode 1 of the new series, and it felt like the sort of home team. Because you know, we were doing it in Liverpool, and it's a very sort of Liverpool-based show, and it was lovely, wasn't it?
It was really nice. Yeah.
Good screening. Had a Q&A after, and it was lovely.
People are excited as well about the second series.
Thank God, yeah. It's really
on to that.
It's lovely, yeah. It's really nice.
Elizabeth and Damian as well. Your premiere last night of your film.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Oh, thank you so much.
How was it? Was it lovely to be there together, having worked on something as a team?
You know, this has been such a whirlwind, this entire trip. We've been frantic. We've been going from... We had our premiere in New York a couple of weeks ago. Now we're here. I've lost track, but it was really amazing. We had tons of family and friends coming to this one, so it was... I know.
And what was really nice is that in the audience, I think, for all my friends, well, obviously family too, every single person had known him since the day he was born. So then to see him do his, you know, to put his first thing up there, it felt really nice. I think it was probably the most nervous I've ever seen you when you had to, you know, have...
It's not that scary with executives and critics, but family...
What is your family?
Yeah, I know.
It's the most nervous-making thing, isn't it?
They're really,
And they're in your life, they're around.
Well, look, we can't wait to chat more to you all very shortly, but first, it's time to put three... Still to come, we'll be chatting to Elizabeth and Damian about their new film, but first, we're very excited that The Responder is back on our screens, as are our viewers. Thank you so much. Already, so many messages about this. Sophie says, The Responder was one of my favourite shows. Cannot wait to binge. Well, look, before we chat to Martin and Adelayo, let's take a look.
I'm trying. I'm making the same mistakes over and over again.
What have you got me into?
Do not think of taking that girl away from me because she's all I've got left.
They've taken Chris. Everyone here just wants to make some money.
Who's this fella calling the shots?
What are you going to do?
I'm scared. It's all my mate.
Way down.
Well, Adelayo, as we said, a huge response to the first series, and the second series kicked off with an absolute belter as well. You play Rachel Hargreaves. Can you set the scene then for people that may need to catch up?
Oh, yeah, OK. So we had Martin, who was playing Chris, and he is a police officer. He's trying to do his best, trying to police in the best way he knows how, but not quite getting it right. And then you've got Rachel, who comes in, they start working together. She's very morally upright, very judgmental, and it's like, we're going to do things by the book. And Chris is like, no, we're not. And you just kind of see them clash throughout the series. But then you also see... the kind of pain and distress that they're struggling with underneath all of that.
There's so many, you know, lovely moments that we'll get to see in this. Martin, in the new series, we see your character's relationship with his dad.
Yes.
Played by Bernard Hill, who sadly passed away on Sunday.
Yeah.
What was it like to work with Bernard?
It was delightful. It was really lovely. I think, you know, when he came on set, he's sort of, you know, he was from Manchester, but he was Liverpool royalty. Yeah. Because having played Yosser Hughes in Boys from the Black Stuff like 40 years ago, he was loved in that city. And for us in the cast and crew, he was a really gentle, kind, sort of playful man with a twinkle in his eye. And I loved working with him. It felt like a real... Well, now, of course, it's his last performance. So, I mean, for us, it's devastating that he's not here to see that, you know... to sort of reap the rewards of what he did, because what he did is so good. But I'm glad that his last thing was something he cared so much about and loved so much. You know, we were very lucky to have him. I'm sure,
and the scenes between you at the beginning of the second series are fantastic. Now,
thank you.
your character Chris got into quite a lot of hot water last series. Has he learned how to control himself a little bit this time? Where's he going in
He
this
has
series?
to a certain extent. I mean, you know, we joined them, like, you know, maybe 5-6 months later, where we left off the first series, and he is definitely trying to, you know, he's joined a men's group. He's trying to sort of be in a position where he can talk about his stuff, right, and have that help him in some way. And so he's determined to have a stability for his daughter and him to have a life. He's split up with his missus, and so he's trying to have a life with him and his daughter. But through a series of very unfortunate events. He finds himself quite early on in the first episode having to do something with Rachel, where they've both got to do something that's definitely not on the books. You know, it's not in the policing manual for doing something that is a shortcut to getting out of some real shtuck. So
and Adelayo, as you said, the relationship with yours and Martin's character can be quite tense at times. I mean, how do we see that develop in the new series?
I think in the new series, I think they realise that they're friends, and I don't think either of them have many friends. And there's kind of, I guess, the feeling of like a kindred spirit between them. And I don't know. I guess their friendship isn't really based on the normal principles of friendship, but there's something about the fact that they know each other. Or they've told each other things that probably nobody else in the world knows about the other.
Or would understand. And
I think they don't feel judged by one another. Even though verbally they do a lot of judging, but actually it's just banter, and they know that it's not...
Totally,
do you know what I mean? It's not...
Well, I have to say, so many people obviously excited about the new series, but also, Adelayo, the new series Supercell that you've got coming out, Netflix. I mean, people are so excited. When is Supercell out again?
It's out in June.
In June on Netflix. People are going to be so
have to come
excited
back.
about that. Yeah, exactly.
We need a whole other chat about that.
I mean, we need to talk about superpowers on a whole nother level. But thank you so much, both of you. The Responder continues on Sunday at 9 o'clock on BBC and iPlayer.
Still to come, we'll be chatting to Elizabeth on how a promise she made to her son Damian has led to her latest leading role.
But first, now, Elizabeth and Damian, let's talk Strictly Confidential. Now, Damian, your directing debut, I mean, and you're doing it, this is so wonderful. I think it's so lovely that you're being able to do this with your mum, right? And you guys have such a close relationship. I mean, tell us all about it.
Well, God, I mean, we've shot this movie when I was 20, you know, and not a lot of money, not a lot of time, but we love it, and we really hope everyone does too. We just had our UK premiere, and it was a really, you know, it was a really nice time seeing it all come together, seeing it all up on a terrifying big screen, and people like it, so let's see.
Give us an idea of the plot, then.
Well, it follows the story of a young girl who is haunted by the suicide of her best friend a year earlier. And the mother of the dead girl, which is me, she calls all her friends for a sort of a reunion back on the island where the girl had died. But Mia, who's our protagonist, who's just a fabulous actress called Georgia Locke, she just couldn't accept that her friend would kill herself. It never made sense to her, and she hasn't been able to let it go. And when she gets to the island, she starts to unravel what might have gone on before. And then she starts to find that there were secrets, lies, betrayals, pretty much bad behaviour all round. And that Rebecca, the girl who committed suicide, had... the plot thickens all the way through, and she finds it. So it's quite interesting, you know, because it was written by a young adult, Damian. It stars, with the exception of me, all young adults. And its target audience is really young people. It's even though it has it pulls on those sort of themes of sadness and loss, but it's a fun mystery ride, really, once Mia gets to the island. And, you know, we were lucky enough to shoot in the Caribbean, so it's pretty beautiful.
Yeah, well, it looks exactly as you described it there. A fun mystery tour. I mean, let's take a look.
It's great to have you all here, kids. This house has felt pretty lonely this last year, but I couldn't bear to break with tradition and not have you spend your vacation here, even without my Rebecca. She loved you all so much. I know it can't be easy being here without her. And I want you to know how much I appreciate it.
Now, there's been a huge reaction to the film, especially the intimate scenes. The intimate scenes. How was it for you, though, Elizabeth, to be directed by your boy?
Well, here's the thing. I gave him his first camera when he was about 10, and he's been filming me ever since. He wrote sketches initially, then little baby films, and gradually, you know, he got up to making bigger films until he ultimately made a proper film. And I always said I'd be in his first film. And because he'd filmed me so much, and because I often force him to take photographs of me all the time for my beachwear company and stuff, it just seemed like nothing. We didn't even think about it. And literally until the movie was started to be marketing and everyone was sort of going demented, we were like, oh, right. Because you know what? It was very low budget, the film. We had to shoot so fast. Damian had about 6 or 7 scenes to film that day. This was just one of them. And it was just like, knock it out and get through it.
So you're doing an independent film, every moment counts, every second matters. You don't have time to do anything. Like,
anguished
being dived on by mosquitoes, you're losing the light, you're being deafened by cicadas.
And also, I think people have made a fuss. It's not like he sneaked into my bedroom with a camcorder.
No.
It's on a set, you know.
Yeah.
No. There's like 100 people on the set. And it's, you know, they're not, everyone knows they're not actually sexy to shoot any kind of intimate scene. It's just technical. And we'd rehearsed it. Damian had made everyone so comfortable. It was fine. It was nothing, right?
Yeah. Well, look, you said that you had to shoot as quickly as possible. You had to get over any problems that were there. I mean, I know you shot in the Caribbean, and that sounds wonderful, but you had some trouble getting the clothes in, all the costumes. Is that right?
We did. This was about a week before we were meant to be shooting. I think about 80% of our costumes got denied entry at the border and were shipped back to the US. So we were there, and there aren't really any costume shops. There's no infrastructure there for a movie. So I persuaded my male godfather to fly about 100 costumes in, smuggle them in a suitcase. And, of course, nearly all of them were bikinis on the beach. So my very straight-laced godfather had to stand there going, of course these 80 bikinis are mine. What are you talking about? When he was stopped at customs. But we got them. And watch the movie, there's lots of bikinis, but they made it.
Well, I mean, the idea of that, and I love that the use of the word godfather, and am I right in thinking your godfather, Hugh Grant,
He's not the bikini smuggler.
Okay, fine. Okay, we had an image. We had an image of that, and we were like, "That's a movie in itself."
That's unbelievable.
That's the sequel.
Right. See, okay, that makes sense. That's fine. Yeah.
Now, is it right, Elizabeth, that you took some of the outfits? I mean, we're not saying this is obviously, robbery, but borrowed some of the outfits, we say, from Austin Powers.
Permanently borrowed.
Oh, no. Yes, I did. I took more. It was in my contract.
Where are they? Because they must have been brilliant.
They're in the attic, aren't they?
They're you're doing yourself down. They're in a really nicely organised archive. And they're beautiful. They're pristine.
Oh, we had to.
I'm lying. They're in a mess.
Yeah. But I hope you've got mothballs as well.
They are mothballed. And most of them are leather, though. So
oh, well, it's fine then. Yeah, that's great.
I don't think I'd get one leg into any of it anymore.
Strictly Confidential is available on digital platforms from Monday.
Yeah, thank you so much to all of our guests tonight.
Yeah, we'll be back tomorrow. We'll see you then. Bye-bye.